Do you have for constituents now who are facing this foreclosure crisis and this larger recession that's looming? What are you going to be able to do as a congressman to really affect what they're going through?
Well, again, I think Congressman Frank has put together an intelligent plan, which is to allow homeowners to get some help from the federal government who are in foreclosure. Again, it has to be carefully screened to make sure it's not second homes or investment property that's in foreclosure. But clearly, we've got a situation right now that's hemorrhaging and it's dragging down property values and people's equity in their house, which is a serious problem for the middle class in this country. And
so you're saying that you're going to be able, as a congressman, if the Democratic proposal goes through, to deliver aid for people in danger of losing their homes?
That's correct.
Now, the concern from people like Paulson and others in the Bush administration is that if you interfere with too much with markets, credit's going to dry up.
Well, unfortunately, though, that they kind of have a double standard because they intervene to help investment banks who are not federally insured and been operating outside of any regulation to get federal help and taxpayer help. It seems to me that, on balance, there ought to be some help for people who have followed the rules and are trying to hold on to their place in the middle class.
So you're not concerned about credit markets driving up unintended consequences of government action?
Well, again, I think it has to be intelligent. It has to be focused, again, on people who clearly
need the help
and who can survive and afford.
Last time we had a recession here in Connecticut, it presented an opportunity for people who wanted to buy properties at bargain basement prices. And a lot of times they were speculators from outside the state who sat on the properties, committed mortgage fraud, or otherwise got something they could flip when the market turned. Is there anything you as a congressman could do? Is that more of a state issue to prevent that kind of predatory
I think that the fundamental, lesson we're going to take from this time that we're in right now is just that the system got completely away from the checks and balances of a financial regulatory system, and we need to get back in the business of having government regulate.
Does federal regulation have anything to do with the kind of real estate flippers or speculators or mortgage fraud?
Again, that's probably a little too deep down into the system for the federal government to get involved in. As you point out, maybe the state needs to sort of look at that.
Congress about how best to help homeowners with how best to help homeowners with the foreclosure crisis and credit crisis.
Yes.
One of the debates is how much intervention should there be in the market by Congress, whether it will have unintended consequences if you intervene too much, as Paulson says, or whether you need to have a strong hand by government to help bail out homeowners where the Democrats say.
The answer is going to be it has to have some balance, but the government can't wash their hands of it and act like we won't have an impact. We are potentially seeing thousands of homes in foreclosure in Bridgeport. That's going to bring down the value of properties and not enable people to refinance.
So what could you in Congress do about that?
Well, there's a lot of things that we can do, but first is we have to deal with the past and understand why it happened to make sure we don't repeat it.
Meaning how we regulate lenders?
Well, how we, with mortgage brokers in particular, and that we've started to do. They need to be licensed, and we need to have some standards, and we need to hold them liable if they're giving out information that can be very harmful to the buyer. So, there are some homeowners that literally were defrauded. There were some that decided to use their homes as a piggy bank, and that was a mistake. But in the end,
should both groups be bailed out?
No, it's going to be different depending. There's some people who could never afford to buy, and yet they did. There's some people who never owned their home. They never put anything down. They just signed on the bottom line and paid a lower interest rate to get the.
So what should Congress or the federal government be doing for them?
Well,
should they have to pay the consequences? Let the market work?
We're going to have some houses that go under for people who never could afford a house in the first place. The key is, and the balance is going to be to make sure it just doesn't become a snowball. Okay.
So where would you stand though, like Paulson versus Frank?
You know what? I want to talk to you about